It happens on a Thursday. Not a birthday, not New Year's, not some date you would ever circle on a calendar. A Thursday. You are standing in your kitchen at 6 in the morning, and the coffee maker is doing the thing it does, that low gurgle, and you open the app on your phone the way you have opened it 10,000 mornings before. And the number has a 1 in front of it now, and then 6 zeros after it, and you stand there, and you wait. You wait for the feeling. You have been told your whole life about this feeling. $1 million. You wait for your knees to go soft, for your eyes to sting, for something in your chest to crap in the way it does in the movies. And you wait, and the coffee maker beeps, and nothing comes. You pour the coffee into the same chipped mug you have used for years, the one with the hairline crack you keep meaning to throw out and never do, and you drink it standing up at the counter, and then you sit down and put on your boots, because you have a shift, because it is a Thursday, and the warehouse does not care what your account says. 12 years ago, the number in that same account was $45. $45, and you were embarrassed by it, embarrassed enough that your thumb once hovered over the button to cancel the whole thing. Sit with that gap for a second before this goes any further. $45 to $1 million. And the strangest part is not the size of the number. The strangest part is the size of the nothing you feel while you look at it. Here is the part nobody films. Not the mansion, not the moment, not the confetti falling in slow motion. The 12 years in the middle, the ones with no music under them. So go back to the beginning of those years, because that is where this actually starts. You are younger. You are tired in the specific way a body gets tired when it has done the same motions for 8 hours, scanning, lifting, walking the same concrete aisles under the same humming lights. And one Saturday there is a barbecue in the courtyard of your apartment complex, the kind of party where everybody drags out a folding chair, but nobody thinks to bring enough ice, so the drinks go warm by 2 o'clock and nobody really minds. And there is a woman there named Naomi, a couple of doors down from you, older than you, and she is not selling you anything, she is just talking, the way people talk over a paper plate. And somewhere between the burgers and the warm soda she says something about an index fund, and about starting small, and about how the boring thing is almost always the thing that actually works, and you nod the way you nod at a barbecue. But it stays with you. That night you lie in bed, and you cannot sleep, and you do the thing you would almost be ashamed to admit to anyone. You hold your phone up close to your face in the dark, the screen too bright, and you type in words you do not fully understand yet. Accredited investor, expense ratio, compound interest. You read until the phone goes hot in your hand and your eyes ache. And a few days later you set up a transfer, $45 every Friday, automatic, gone out of the account before you could feel it leave. And here is who you were then, in that same week. You called your sister Marisol every Sunday. Every single Sunday without fail, because that was simply the shape of the week. She is younger than you, and she would call to tell you about nothing at all, a movie she half-watched, a coworker who annoyed her, a cake that came out flat. You did not talk about money on those calls. You talked about the flat cake. You had a life that was small and warm and loud, a life measured in Sundays and folding chairs and warm soda, and every Friday you gave $45 of it away to a version of yourself you had never met and were not even sure you would like. And the years started to stack up. And they did not stack like a movie montage. They stacked like Fridays. The transfer went out, and you did not feel richer, because $45 does not make anyone feel richer. It makes you feel $45 poorer every week on purpose. There were things you did not buy. You will not remember most of them, and that is exactly the point. That is the quiet violence of it, the not buying that leaves no mark and shows up in no photograph. The trip you talked yourself out of. The nicer apartment you looked at once and then closed the tab on. The dinners where you ordered the cheaper thing and said you were not that hungry anyway. None of it dramatic. None of it a tragedy. Just 1,000 small subtractions that nobody ever claps for. 1,000 Fridays where you chose the stranger you might become over the person standing right there in the grocery aisle holding the thing he wanted. You told yourself it was temporary. Everybody tells themselves it is temporary. Now watch what the money was actually doing while you slept. Because this is where the story quietly stops being about a warehouse and starts being about arithmetic, and the arithmetic is the whole thing. The $45 did not stay $45. That is the first thing nobody tells you at the barbecue. Every time you got a raise, before it could ever feel like yours, before you could get used to the extra room in the paycheck, you fed a little more into the transfer. Every bonus, gone the same day it landed, into the account, out of reach. And the money you could not see was doing the one and only thing money does when you finally stop touching it. It was making a little money of its own. And then that little money made a little more. Slowly. Insultingly slowly at the start. For years it looked like nothing, like a rounding error, like trying to fill a bathtub with a teaspoon. And then, somewhere in the middle, with no single dramatic day to point at, the thing turned over. The money made started to outrun the money you put in by hand. And that is the entire secret. That is the whole boring miracle. That time in a hand kept off the account will do what no paycheck on earth ever could. But that is getting ahead of things, because it did not feel like a miracle while it was happening. It felt like this. The first time the market fell, really fell, you watched a chunk of it vanish inside a single week, and your hands went cold, actually cold, the fingertips, the way they go when a body is afraid. You sat on the edge of your bed with the phone in your cold hands, and your thumb hovered over the button that would sell all of it, take back what was left, make the bleeding stop, and you did not press it. You put the phone face down on the floor, and you stared at the ceiling in the dark, and you did not press it. That was the whole decision, not a clever trade, not a genius move, just a thumb that refused to press a button. Then life did the thing life always does. There came a long stretch of hospital bills, the kind that arrive in thick envelopes and do not stop arriving, and every single one of them made you want to reach into the account and touch it, just a little, just this once, just to make it easier. And you did not. You found the money somewhere else, the hard way, the ugly way, and you let the account keep sleeping. Here is the part that matters most, so stay with it. Somewhere in year 8, or maybe year 9, the market fell again, harder this time, a worse fall than the first one had ever been. And you opened the app, and your hands did not go cold. You noticed it, actually noticed it, the way you notice a sound only once it stops. Your hands were warm. The number on the screen had just dropped by more than you used to earn in an entire year, and your hands were warm, and your heart did the ordinary thing hearts do on an ordinary afternoon, and you were supposed to be proud of that. Everyone will tell you that is discipline, that is a cool head, that is the exact thing you set out to build. But sitting there with your warm hands, you felt the first genuinely cold thing you had felt in a very long time, and it had nothing to do with the money. It was the understanding that somewhere along the numbers had grown too big for you to feel them, and that the feeling had never grown up to meet them. The feeling had stayed back there at $45, and so, in the only ways that turned out to matter, had you. This is not a story about getting rich. This is not a story about a stock that came along and saved your life. This is not a story about luck. It is a story about teaching your own hands not to go cold, and then finding out that you cannot teach your hands that one thing and keep everything else about you warm. Now there is someone you need to know about, and his name is Cal. Cal started the exact same day you did. Same orientation room, same bad coffee in the same paper cups, same laminated badge still warm from the machine. Same job, the same aisles, the same humming lights overhead. And here is the part that makes this fair, the part you cannot skip past. Cal set up the same transfer. $45, every Friday, automatic, the two of you laughing about in the break room, two young guys deciding to be responsible on the very same afternoon. Same starting line, down to the dollar. There was only ever one single thing between you and Cal, and it is so small you could blink and miss it. You made your money unreachable. That became your whole quiet religion. Out of sight, out of reach, behind a wall, automatic, untouchable, gone before it could ever tempt you. Cal kept his money where he could reach it. That is the entire difference. That is the one variable in the whole experiment. And so when Cal's cousin got married, Cal reached in and paid for the good dinner and stood up and gave the toast. When a buddy came up short on rent, Cal reached in. When his daughter needed the braces, Cal reached in. When there was a good summer, a real one, Cal reached in and they drove out to the coast, and he has the photographs on the wall to prove it. Every single time life knocked on the door, Cal opened it, because his money could always hear the knocking, because he had never built the wall, and so Cal's account stayed small. It never turned into a bathtub filling itself. It stayed a teaspoon, because he kept spooning it back out to the people standing right in front of him. And hear this next part clearly, because it would be so easy to tell it wrong. Cal was not a fool. Cal did not fail at anything. Everything Cal reached in and bought was real. The dinner was real, the toast was real, the roof over his buddy's head was real, his daughter's straight teeth are real, the ocean was real, and the photographs are hanging on his wall at this very moment. He did not lose that money. He turned it into the only things that never had a market price in the first place. You cannot chart what Cal bought. There is no line going up and to the right. But it was real, every bit of it, and it is still real today, and it never once went cold when the market fell, because it was never in the market at all, it was in the room. Here is the thing that took you 12 full years to finally understand. You and Cal were never running the same race and getting different results. You were running two entirely different races and calling them by the same word. You called it saving. He called it living. And both of you were right, and both of you paid for it. And the bill simply did not come due until the very end. Because a wall does two different things, and the brochures only ever mention the first one. A wall keeps your money in, and a wall keeps everything else out. You spent 12 years being proud of a wall, and you never once stopped to count out loud what was standing on the other side of it, waiting, and then not waiting anymore, and then simply gone. So here is where it all turns. Here is the fork run the whole way to the end, both roads laid down side by side. Take your road first. You are a millionaire. Say the word plainly, because you did earn it. $1 million on a Thursday at 6 in the morning in a mug with a crack in it. And your road is quiet. It is so unbelievably quiet. The phone does not ring the way it used to ring. And it is not only because people started asking you for money, though a few of them did, and you could feel the exact moment the asking began, the way the air in a room changes. It is quieter than that, and it is worse than that. Somewhere in all those years of keeping your hands off the account, you had kept your hands off other things too, without ever once deciding to. The Sunday calls got shorter, then they got rarer. Marisol would call and you would be looking at the app while she talked about the flat cake, and she could hear it, the way anyone can always hear when the person on the line is looking at a screen, and one Sunday she just did not call. And you told yourself you would call her back later in the week, and you were tired, and there was a shift, and it was always, somehow, a Thursday. Now take Cal's road, because it runs right there alongside your own. Cal is not a millionaire. Cal will very likely never be a millionaire, and Cal is not lying awake at night over it. Cal's account is small, and Cal's table is full. There are people at that table because Cal's money could always hear them knocking. His phone still rings. It rings on Sundays. That is the whole picture, both roads at once, and this story is not going to tell you which one of them won, because that is the one single thing it flatly refuses to do. Now here is the honest part, straight, with no music underneath it. The $1 million is real. It is not a trick, and it did not betray you, and one day it is going to matter enormously for the roof, for the emergency, for the years when your body finally cannot do the eisels anymore, and on that day you will be glad, truly and deeply glad, that you once kept your hands off it. That part is real. But so is this. It did not buy back a single one of the Sundays. It did not put Marisol's name back at the top of your screen at the top of the hour. It did not make you feel, standing there on that Thursday morning, the one thing you had been so completely sure $1 million would make you feel. And here is the part that is going to sit with you for a while. In 9 years, Marisol never once asked you for a number, not a single time. Everyone else eventually, in some small way, wanted something out of the account. She never did. She only ever wanted the call itself. She was the one person left on this earth who wanted nothing from you but your voice on a Sunday, and she is the one you let go quiet. And not because the money changed you. The money did not change you at all. You were the same tired man in the same worn boots. The money changed the room around you, and you were so busy watching the number climb the wall that you never once noticed the room behind you slowly emptying out. So what do you actually do with that? Not despair. Despair is the easy answer, and it is a lie besides. You do the only thing left in the whole story that is still genuinely yours to do. You put the phone down on the counter. You do not open the app this morning. It is a Sunday, and you call her. You call Marisol, and it is going to be awkward, and she is going to be surprised to see your name come up, and none of that matters even slightly, because the account will still be sitting there tomorrow. It is very, very good at waiting. It has waited patiently for 12 years, and it can certainly wait through one phone call. The number was never the whole story. The number was only ever the easy part of it. Who you had to become to reach that number and what you very nearly let it cost you. That was the real story the entire time, and unlike the number sitting frozen in the account, that part of it is not actually finished yet. That part you can still change. So if you take anything at all away from this, take these few plain things. The boring path works, and it works precisely because it is boring, because at the bottom of it, it is nothing more than a hand kept off a button for 12 straight years. Money you cannot reach will grow, and that very same wall that grows it can just as quietly wall you in. So if you are going to build the wall, build it on purpose, and count out loud and often exactly who and what you are leaving standing on the other side of it. And your number, whatever your number happens to be, will not feel the way you are picturing it will feel, so do not spend your one and only life standing at the finish line waiting for a feeling that has been living back at the starting line the whole time. So tell one thing honestly down in the comments. If your number came in tomorrow morning, on some completely ordinary Thursday, and you stood alone in your kitchen and felt absolutely nothing at all, whose name is the very first one you would want to call, and when was the last time you actually called them? Say the name to yourself right now. And then, maybe, go and make the call, because unlike the market, that person is not always going to be there waiting. As for you, it is 6 in the morning, and the coffee is done, and the mug still has that same hairline crack in it that you never did get around to throwing out. But this Thursday, you are not looking at the app on your phone. This Thursday, the phone is already ringing, and it is ringing out to Marisol. None of this is financial advice. It is a story told to make you feel something and maybe to make you think. The numbers in it are illustrative, not a promise that anyone alive can make to you. And whatever you decide to do with your own $45, do your own research first, and then decide it for yourself.